안녕하세요. 실리콘밸리 나우 김일부입니다. 저는 미국 서부에서도 최남단에 있는 이곳 임페리얼 밸리에 와 있는데요. 혹시 금보다 귀한 하얀 금 얘기 들어보셨나요? 바로 전기차, 노트북, 휴대폰 등 배터리에 들어가는 리튬 얘기입니다. 최근 이곳 임페리얼 밸리에 전기차 3억 8천만 대를 생산할 수 있는 막대한 양의 리튬이 매장되어 있다는 사실이 알려지면서 이곳은 이제 리튬밸리로 불립니다. 1850년대 캘리포니아에서 있었던 제2의 골드러시가 다시 일어나고 있다는 얘기도 나옵니다. 제 뒤로 이 하얀 연기를 뿜어내고 있는 건물 보이시나요? 미국 지역발전사인 에너지소스 미네랄즈가 운영하는 지열발전소인데요. 이 발전소 바로 옆에 리튬 추출 설비를 설치해서 친환경 방식으로 리튬을 추출할 수 있다고 합니다.
To give you a quick overview of where we are, so this is standing next to the John Featherstone Hudson Ranch 1 geothermal power station. So the brine that we're going to utilize for Project Atlas has been flowing from the underground geothermal resource through this facility for 13 years now. It's a well-proven resource, and we have lots of confidence in its capacity to not only deliver power, which you see being produced today, but also lithium, manganese, and other minerals. The production area is just off to my right. We have 2,500 acres dedicated to the resource dedicated for this facility. And what you see in the background here, the power station is comprised of really two parts. One is this brine handling system where the steam is extracted in these three vessels in the foreground, and that's sent over to the turbine over in the background. And this is a 55 megawatt geothermal facility. And then in the background, you see the brine handling system continues on. Project Atlas will be behind this warehouse and over there to the west. And so we'll build the Atlas project co-located here, but approximately about 3 times the size of what you see here as a power station. So it'll comprise additional mineral extraction. It will have our direct lithium extraction process, and then we'll convert to lithium hydroxide, and that crystallization will happen at the back end of the facility. So all that's going to happen here and on site. So hopefully this gives you a good overview of the facility location.
에너지소스 미네랄과 그 자회사인 일리아드 테크놀로지가 이용하는 방식은 리튬 직접 추출, 바로 DLE 방식입니다. 보통 리튬은 광석을 채굴하거나 리튬이 들어가 있는 염수를 염전해서 말려서 채취하는데요. 이 경우 극심한 환경 오염이 발생하게 됩니다. 미국이 중국, 호주 등의 리튬 생산을 아웃소싱한 이유기도 한데요. 리튬을 직접 추출할 경우 지열 발전에 쓰던 물을 그대로 이용하기 때문에 훨씬 친환경적인 방법이라고 할 수 있습니다.
So we can kind of show you from afar. We don't typically photograph, but I'll give you a sense of what we do here. So we'll just kind of let you step in and see. So what we have here are obviously a number of tanks, the heart of the Iliad system, which is our countercurrent desorption device, and then some additional tanks and a fully control system with HMI. So within this is the entirety of the Iliad process. What will come in is a brine that is full of sodium, potassium, calcium, and a little bit of lithium. So we bring that in. As we run it across our adsorption columns full of the adsorbent media you saw just a second ago, that's where we'll pull the lithium out and make a lithium chloride product. And then the brine that is left over, that gets sent back to re-injection. So in the case of a Project Atlas here, it's re-injected into the geothermal field in the solar. It's available to be re-injected as well. So this whole operation started up at the Salton Sea. We're located next to the power station. So the power station brings the brine to the surface, creates electricity, currently re-injects it. When Energy Source Minerals began doing the development work, we did the pilot adjacent to that power facility. Currently, we have a pilot plant up there, which is removing transition metals as a co-product. And we used to have Iliad sited right next to that. So all the pilots were on site. ICP analysis, we have fixed bed columns that we can do comparative testing to. So everything that we need to do to support not only the pilots in the operation, we also have commercial team members here that are working to compare and give customer feedback of Iliad performance relative to maybe some other technologies as well. Iliad grew out of a need we had at Energy Source Minerals for a direct lithium extraction technology that worked on geothermal brine. And one of the unique characteristics of geothermal brine is it's hot.
They're going to be built next to the geothermal plant, right?
So this would represent one train of what's going to be a kind of a 5-train process. So this doesn't have all of the equipment, but it does have some of that equipment. But it gives you a sense of what the scale is going to look like. What we don't have here is the full, Iliad adsorbent step. We're just testing the mechanical device. So what Iliad will do is this facility is fixed, right? It will stay here. It'll be part of a test platform. The way Iliad will deliver commercial units to customers is they have modularized. The adsorbent columns, the multi-port valve, everything comes in a module. So in the field, you'll simply drop those modules and bolt the whole thing together. A reasonably good field, simple field installation. A number of customers that Iliad's talking to, we hope Project Atlas is the first, but there are others that are in discussion.
How much in once or a day, or how much brine can you process, and how much lithium can you make in one process?
Yes, so right now what you see is probably we could go to 700 gallons a minute or so with this unit. So this represents commercial scale, right?
700 gallons per minute.
700 gallons per minute.
All right.
And I apologize for users. I can't convert that to meters cubed per hour in my head, but it's a big number. I mean, it's a lot of fluid flow. The Iliad units, we'll see them go as big as, over 1,000 gallons a minute. For Atlas, for example, that's a project that flows close to 7,000 gallons a minute. And it has multiple Iliad units running in parallel, right? And so each Iliad unit can do somewhere around, I think, probably in the neighborhood of, say, 4,000 or 5,000 tons of lithium carbonate equivalent. So depending on how big the project is, we'll just deploy more of those units to expand a project's capacity. In an example project, put 4 of those Iliad units together, and that would equal a 20,000 ton lithium carbonate project on an annual basis, which is a pretty normal scale for a project. 20 to 30 is kind of what you see in the industry for 20 to 30,000 tons per year is what you see as sort of a typical project size.
미국 과학계에서는 오래전부터 임페리얼 밸리에 리튬이 상당량 매장돼 있을 것이라고 추측해 왔습니다. 그런데 전기차 열풍이 불고 리튬 가격이 폭등하면서 주정부나 기업들이 이 리튬을 본격적으로 발굴하고 개발해야겠다는 생각을 갖게 된 건데요. 2023년 로렌스 버클리 국립연구소가 보고서를 통해 이곳에 막대한 양의 리튬이 매장돼 있다고 발표했습니다. 이 연구에 참여한 지질학 전문가 UC 리버사이드의 마이클 맥큐본 교수와 인터뷰했습니다.
So I've always studied the metals in the brines as far back as the 1970s, and we always knew there was lithium in the brines, but nobody was interested in lithium for a long time until, the market for smartphones and electric vehicles took off, and so all of a sudden lithium became fashionable, and a lot of companies are interested in it, and that's why our federal government in the U.S. was very interested in knowing what resources we have in our country. So it was probably carried down the Colorado River as the Colorado Plateau was eroded and absorbed onto clay minerals in the suspended load in the river. And then those sediments were deposited in the delta of the Colorado River, which is what's filling up the Imperial Valley. That whole valley's filled up with basically everything that got eroded out of the Grand Canyon. And so the geothermal fields developed in those rocks and leached the lithium out of the clays and the sediments. So we sort of estimated probable reserves of about 18 million metric tons of lithium carbonate equivalent throughout the entire field. But that, of course, has to be verified by more drilling. but we're pretty confident there's at least 4 million tons, something between 4 and 18 million metric tons of lithium carbonate equivalent. And that
이 1800만 톤이라는 수치는 어마어마한 양인데요. 미국 지질조사국이 지난 1월 발표한 자료에 따르면 최대 리튬 보유국인 아르헨티나의 리튬 매장량이 2300만 톤에 달한다고 하니 거의 이거와 맞먹는 정도죠. 이곳에 매장된 리튬으로 전기차 3억 8천만 대를 생산할 수 있고요. 총 가치는 5,400억 달러, 우리 돈으로 약 750조 원에 달한다고 합니다. 게빈 뉴섬 캘리포니아 주지사가 리튬의 사우디아라비아라고 했는데요. 그럴 만한 수준이죠. 물론 전기차 수요 부진으로 인해 최근 리튬 가격은 다소 정체된 상태입니다. 그러나 트럼프 행정부가 중국과의 지정학 경쟁에 필요한 주요 자원들을 국유 자원으로 확보하면서 다시 리튬밸리 개발에도 속도가 붙는 분위기입니다. 미국 에너지부는 지난 6월 리튬밸리에서 리튬을 추출하고 있는 또 다른 기업 컨트롤드 서머 리소스의 헬스키친 프로젝트를 패스트트랙, 즉 신속 처리하겠다고 발표하면서 힘을 실어줬습니다. 이곳은 대규모 리튬 매장되어 있는 임페리얼 밸리 인근 솔튼 호수입니다. 이 달걀이 썩는 것 같은 냄새가 코를 찌르고 주변에는 폐건물밖에 남아있지 않은데요. 과거 솔튼 호수는 1950년대 프랭크 시나트라 같은 연예인들이 찾는 유명 관광지였습니다. 그러나 인근 농업 폐수가 호수에 쌓인 데다가 콜로라도강 상류에 댐이 생겨 물길이 막히면서 지금은 호수 바닥이 말라가고 있습니다. 지금은 캘리포니아에서 소득이 가장 낮은 곳이 되어버린 이곳 임페리얼 밸리의 주민들은 리튬밸리 프로젝트에 희망을 걸고 있습니다. 지금까지 임페리얼 밸리에서 전해드렸습니다. 감사합니다.